Hello everybody, this is Con. Today I am driving the Proton Iriz, specifically the improved 2017 version. Okay, the variant that I'm driving here is the range topping 1.6 liter premium model, CVT only. The Proton has dropped the 1.6 manual version altogether, so the whole range now is just streamlined to just 4 variants. Okay, there's the base 1.3 liter standard manual transmission, which Kamfu is currently reviewing, and I hope to squeeze some time in that car as well in a separate video. There's also a 1.3 standard CVT and a mid-spec 1.3 executive CVT with equipment rising as you progress. Okay, so this 1.6 premium CVT, top of the line. 6 airbags, daytime running lights, LED daytime running lights, reverse camera, body kit, touchscreen, steering mounted controls, extra USB charging ports, and so on lah. Okay, of course we have to note that we should remember that all variants of the Iriz come standard with electronic stability control, which at the time it was launched was quite uncommon in the segment. Okay, but of course since then, in more recently, Produa's all-new Myvi has, on paper at least, surpassed the Iriz's safety offerings. Okay, because the Myvi now, as standard, offers 4 airbags, electronic stability control, plus it offers autonomous emergency braking for the top spec model. It may be a very rudimentary AEB system, but it still brings AEB for the first time to this, sub 60,000 ringgit price bracket. Okay, so that is a disadvantage that the Iriz will continue to face for some time lah, because you don't expect Proton to be able to address this particular shortcoming that quickly, even though it now has the backing of a new, bigger partner. Okay, so this video, because the Iriz is a car that we are already familiar with, this video will focus on what are the refinements of this 2017 Iriz versus the earlier 2014 model. Okay, so let's adjourn outside to have a quick walk around tour. Outside the 2017 improved version of the Proton Iriz, no significant changes, but you get an added theme of blackness. You see, like for example, this strip, the side mirror, the roof, and the rear spoiler are now finished in black. But otherwise, this is essentially the same car that was launched in 2014. Visually, there really is no significant change from the original Iriz that was launched in 2014. Okay, this being the 1.6 premium range topping model, you get LED daytime running lights, you get this body kit, the front skirt that runs complemented by the side skirts, and all the way to the back where the diffuser element is thicker. Okay, this spoiler, you will notice, also is more elaborate. Okay, but it's the same spoiler as with the original Iriz, exclusive to the top spec model. You see it is a more elaborate shape. You get this this protrusion here, and then this slats here coming down. Okay, so you see, so it's a very elaborate design. And of course you see these LED tail lights, keyless entry. Here the front halogen headlamps with projectors, and then as you see, a couple of nice touches. You see the Proton wording printed here at the side of the headlamp unit, and also you look closely, this part here has this pattern finishing at the bottom, so it adds to the perceived value of this headlight unit. But yeah, overall, no major change. Same old, same old. Rim design is the same. 10-spoke design with 185/55 15-inch tires. These are Goodyear Assurance Triple Max. Better tires than the rubbish Silverstones that came in my wife's Persona for sure. Right, let's look inside the boot. Okay, now I'll explain this thing later. So this is not a particularly big boot. I can confirm this is a smaller boot than the Myvi. Okay, it is deeper. Okay, it is deeper, but well, I can't fit my stroller in. And open underneath here. This beneath here is a space saver, though still a rather large one. Spare tire. No hidden compartments beneath here. Okay, side here. Yeah, nothing here as well. There's a light there. Seats fold 60/40. Okay, so you press this here, push the seat forward. Okay, it was held back by the safety belt. Press this, push it forward. Done. Okay, so also no flat loading floor, which is unfortunate. I mean, they could have allowed this platform. They could have put like a clip here so that you can raise this up. Then you can enable a flat loading floor that will allow you to really put bulky items. Okay, this is the tonneau cover. It is supposed to be removable. Here, this is the pin which you unhook this and release the tonneau cover down. So then you hook this up, so then to enable the tonneau cover to open together with the tailgate. So what happened on this side is that the pin that was attached to here got broken. Okay, and so it broke clean, and whatever's on the other side is rattling inside here. So in the months to come, if you read any reviewer that complained about rattling noises inside the Iriz test car, actually that was my work, because what happened was that when I was taking photos of the interior, I accidentally dropped this tonneau. I was removing this trying to remove this tonneau cover, dropped it, and when I tried to reinstall it, somehow accidentally broke this clip and resulted in this little mess. Sorry, Proton. And yeah, so basically that's the boot. I'm gonna journey inside. Alright, let's look inside. Okay, so let's raise this. So you see here, there is no clip to hold the seat belt, unlike the Myvi. So you actually have to take the trouble to hold this seat belt to ensure that the seat belt doesn't get clipped by the seat. Okay, so same thing will apply here lah. Okay, I have to raise this. I have to take the trouble to move this out. Yeah, so sit down. Now I got 3 individual headrests. Interestingly enough, the Persona does not have 3 individual headrests. The Iriz has it, which I personally think is rather good, because then you can raise and lower the headrests as you need to provide you with head support. And this one definitely has better head support than the fixed headrests in the Persona. Overall rear accommodation is pretty good. Okay, this adjustable headrests really provide good head support. Definitely better than the fixed headrests available in the Persona. Recline angle is good, and thigh support is pretty decent also, no complaints. Leg room also is very good. Okay, now I got good enough space to cross my legs. There's a seat pocket here. Okay, so let's look at the door card. So there is just one cup holder here. That's it. No door pocket whatsoever. The trailing edge of the center console. At this segment, you can't expect rear aircon vents, but so there's a cup holder here which you can store one drink, and these 2 USB ports are within easy reach of all rear passengers. The seat belts, 3-point seat belts that you have to mount at 2 spots. So you have to bring this down, buckle this here, and then buckle this here, center. This one is marked center, so you have to buckle this down here. Okay, stuck now. press this to release the belt. Oh crap. Oh my god, the seat belt stuck. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm definitely not carrying a fifth passenger in this car. So let's look at the front. Okay, I don't know if you heard that through the audio capture, but looks like this bolt was not properly tightened. I think it's something that can be easily rectified, but at the same time should not actually have needed rectifications, should have been done right from the factory before it even leaves the factory. Okay, so here's the door pocket. This is basically the same interior as the 2016 second gen Proton Persona, which I have featured in a video previously. Do check it out, link in the description section. Yeah, so here we have, this is hard plastics, but not a poor quality of hard plastic. This is fabric insert. Okay, inside here it's all dark black, dark grey. This one has a tinge of, you know, like a purplish tinge. Yeah, so inside here you look at the seats. This is a new seat pattern. Okay, this red and blue stripes, actually it adds a bit of character to the interior. I rather like it. Then you have this red contrast stitching. Side bolsters are pretty good, gives you good lateral support. Okay, step inside. Now, nothing much new here. This head unit is upgraded with, allow me to start the engine and demonstrate. Okay, so boot up is a little bit slow, but I'm accustomed to this because my wife's Persona also takes donkey years to boot up the infotainment system. And if you notice, as I press it, response is not exactly instantaneous. Okay, wait, let me just mute that. Go to the main home menu. Okay, so this is not a button. Okay, it is a touch panel. So you just touch. Okay, this is the aux. So you peel open to access the USB port and an aux jack. And yeah, so here are the well, the performance of this is definitely improved from the Persona that my wife drives. There it is. Switchgear quality is improved from the 2014 Iriz. Okay, almost to the par. It feels more solid. I remember testing the first batch Iriz. All this right, the switchgear right, very loose one. So this has a tighter feel to it. And look at this, is the center console. So you have this area, I feel should be made deeper. Then you can store more things. This one also, I don't know why they bothered to shape it like this. They should have just run this one long compartment. And yeah, so this is useful. The two USB ports, very useful. Another USB port here, 12-volt socket here. So altogether, you get a total of 4 USB ports, one that connect to the infotainment system and 3 dedicated to charge your devices. Okay, but otherwise this cabin requires no further introduction. You get this fake stitching. I don't know why Proton actually spent money to do this. I think it is entirely unnecessary. This money, the money that was spent to develop this, really could have been spent elsewhere. It's not a poor cabin per se. It's okay though. Yeah. At least the center console is better laid out than the new Myvis. I'll give them that. As we all know, Proton has always set quite high benchmarks when it comes to ride and handling. The Iriz is no different. Yes, we may argue that the new Myvi is a much sharper car to drive than its predecessor, but there is no doubt that Perodua still has yet to achieve the kind of chassis and the handling fluency that Proton manages quite effortlessly with the Iriz. Even though the Myvi handles competently, The Iriz still feels that bit more fluid, that bit more composed, you know, when handling rapid maneuvers or transfers of weight or sudden changes of direction. So if you are looking to have for a car, you know, to have fun on a twisting back road, right, the Iriz will, by a noticeable margin, still be a more enjoyable car to drive than the Myvi. But of course, the thing is this: the Iriz's chassis talents will require a driver of a certain skill level to unlock in order to be able to exert a noticeable advantage over the Myvi. Because an average driver put into the Iriz and drive the Iriz like, you know, like just a daily roundabout car, right, is not going to feel any significant superiority of its dynamics versus the Myvi. It is only when you push this car hard and closer and explore its limits that you find that this chassis is indeed, you know, tuned with a deeper breadth of talents than the Myvis. Okay, but the other thing is that whilst the Iriz has a better chassis, the Myvi has a more refined powertrain, in a sense that, okay, it has a 4-speed automatic, and 4-speed autos these days are regarded as transmissions from the age of the dinosaur, but most motorists still prefer the feel of a stepped automatic transmission compared to the CVT which the Iriz has. Okay, and you see, the Iriz CVT, if you know how, if you adapt to your driving style to exploit its the best side of its character, it is actually a very effective transmission. Because when you put your foot down, okay, because now this Campro engine after its VVT, it has a stronger mid-range than the older, you know, first generation Campro engine. So it keeps the engine, you know, at the peak, at its peak power band, and you can really pull a fantastic amount of speeds when you floor it. But the problem is that this is a very, very noisy transmission. Let me show you. So right now, I'm doing 110 kilometers per hour, 3000 RPM. So I'm going to floor it. Can you hear that noise? Can you hear that noise? That is the noise of the engine plus the droning sound of the transmission. And if you have to deal with this kind of noise on an extended long distance journey, it is going to be a very, very tiring affair. And it is also the same reason why in my household, if I were to travel for an extended distance, right, I still prefer to take my 10-year-old Waja versus my wife's brand new Persona. If I were to travel long distance, right, this is really not the engine and drivetrain combination for the job. Yeah, but for city driving, it's adequate, right? If you exploit the characteristics of a CVT well, then, you know, the latest TC transmission control refinements that Proton implemented here, first in the Persona and now brought into this Iriz, it really gives the car a rather peppy driving characteristic. So like when you step on it, it is definitely way more responsive than you know, Proton models of even 3 or 4 years ago that are equipped with this punch CVT. So although the chassis of the Iriz is definitely very well tuned for long distance driving, the transmission, it is much improved from earlier implementations of the punch CVT, but this really is still not the best engine and transmission combo to take on an outstation trip. That is the inescapable conclusion. But you see, right, other than the transmission, the engine and transmission combo, other aspects of the driving experience is actually pretty good. As I mentioned earlier, handling is fantastic. You know, it continues the high standards that we expect of Proton cars. Comfort is also very good. The damping is very well tuned, you know, that it smoothens out most of the surface imperfections. So when you take this over a, you know, like patches of road or a speed bump, right, the suspension really soaks up all that well, and it gives you the feel, the assuring feel, like it is a much bigger car. Noise levels, engine and transmission is very noisy, can't run away. Wind noise is actually very well suppressed. There's a lot of road noise coming through from the tires, but I think this is something that you can rectify with quieter tires if you so choose lah. But the good thing is that this car no longer comes with those stupid Silverstones that came with my wife's Persona. Proton has finally had the good sense to get rid of those tires. This version of the Iriz comes with Goodyear Assurance. Still, well, not really the range-topping tire out there, but way better than those bloody Silverstones. The overall conclusion is that if you are shopping for a B-segment hatchback at 60,000 ringgit, there is no there's no two ways about it. At this price range, the Myvi is definitely the most convincing option in the market in terms of all-round ability. Okay, the only advantage that the Iriz still has over the Myvi really is its driving characteristics, and that also is if you really appreciate the feel of its chassis, because the driving experience is actually still ruined by the engine and transmission combination. This is despite significant improvements over the earlier iterations, right? This is still not what I would call an engine and transmission setup that would you know, excite any enthusiast. The engine is okay, it's fine, but the problem is that the transmission really ruins everything. So yeah, you know, that's why it boils down to this. Spec and feature wise, specs, features and price, right, it is very difficult to argue against the Myvi. Cabin space, Myvi gives you more. Driving enjoyment, ride and handling, Proton is better, but the Myvi now is not bad. And all being said, the Myvi still also has a more refined engine and transmission combo. So the overall right, is very difficult to actively recommend you to get an Iriz over the Myvi. But if you really want a car that handles with assurance, then yes, the Iriz is still the car for you. But you really have to be a very enthusiastic, very exuberant type of driver to fully appreciate the dynamic advantages that the Iriz has over the Myvi. But one thing I'll say about the Iriz, this car has character. I mean, the Myvi, right, for all its objective merits, it feels like a bit of a bland car, if I'm to be honest. Make no mistake, it is a car that will get you from point A to point B to point C all the way to point Z and not kick up a single fuss, you know. And it is a car that, with reasonable maintenance, it will just go on and on and on and on and on and on. But it is the kind of car that really for people that you're looking, that to you, right, the car is just an appliance, yeah. But at the very least, right, the Iriz, for all its flaws, you know, it has that character. It has that something about it that interacts with you, that engages you. But then again, here's the thing: how many people in the general driving population appreciate character in a car? I'm guessing not the majority. And you know, for most people who just want a vehicle to go about their daily business, they don't need character. They don't need dynamic handling and all. They just want a car that, you know, that they know they can depend upon. And I'm not saying that the Iriz is a car that will break down frequently. My wife's persona has been serving us faultlessly for over the last 2 years or so. But simply put, the matter is, as much as the Iriz is a good car in isolation, there is just no arguing against the Myvi on any objective measure. Yeah, so really the only justification for that, you know, anybody would ever find to buy an Iriz will really be down to purely subjective reasons and nothing else. Right, so that concludes my thoughts on the Iriz. Let me know your thoughts as well. Drop a line in the comment section below. Until my next video, thanks for watching. Bye for now.